Hello and welcome to the She Who Dares Wins podcast. My guest today is Kathryn. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Kathryn, She Who Dares Wins. Can you tell me how you've dared and won?
I dared follow my dream of learning how to make suits and become a bespoke tailor in Savile Row. And I won because I worked there for many years and started my own business about 13 years ago.
I think your story is fascinating. How did you decide to get into this? Where was the passion? Where did it come from?
When I was really young, I was more drawn to the creative subjects at school. I was always drawing, and if I was bored at home, Mum said, just draw. And she was quite an artist as well. She used to draw all the time. And that led me to really pursuing a creative career. And I knew I wasn't any good at like the science stuff and the math stuff. So I did arts and English mainly, and then I thought, well, what should I do with the art? Should I be an artist? Or should maybe I'll be a fashion designer, right? Because I used to watch the clothes show and I thought that was really cool.
Oh, okay.
And I used to like all the fashion magazines, and at art school, where I went to do my foundation. So before you do a degree in any art subject, you normally have to do a 1-year art foundation where you sample different elements of the arts and you kind of find out where your strengths lie, like graphic design or fashion or textiles or fine art. And my tutor said to my mum, just because she watches the clothes show doesn't mean she's going to make it in fashion, you know. I'd never made clothes before. I just decided I wanted to do it. And I applied I remember my dad driving me up to Newcastle. I thought I didn't need the foundation. I could just go and do fashion design. And they said, no, you've got to go and do your foundation. And then I looked at other colleges, and I had 2 aunts living in London. My dad was a Londoner and he moved up north. I'm from Leeds originally. And my mum and dad I thought I could sell it to them, because if I was at a college near my aunts, they would cope with the fact that I'd moved from Leeds to London.
Oh, okay.
So I got on a fashion degree course at Epsom, and during that time I really started to worry that I wasn't any good at fashion. A great time in London though, it was fantastic. Okay, out partying, made some friends, and I remember my mum saying, just because you're studying fashion doesn't mean that if you don't get a job at the end of it, you know, you can come back here to live. And so I really thought, oh my God, I've got to get a job. And literally I started to think about where I might want to work. And there were 60 people in our year. And I think 5 of us decided to do menswear. Women's wear was more popular.
Okay.
And I liked menswear. And I thought, well, I used to dress a bit like a guy. I mean, I used to like buying Farrah trousers and suits and like the mod scene. I was kind of into that. So tailoring for me was really cool. And I thought, I'm going to make suits for men. And heavily influenced by James Bond, brought up on all the James Bond films.
Right, okay.
Dad was always really impeccably smart with his dress. He worked for Mercedes-Benz, and I think he got, as part of that, representing the business, you know, at that time in the 70s and 80s, people wore suits. I never saw him wear a pair of jeans.
I don't know if that generational thing. It's like, so it's quite fascinating, that.
And then, you know, one of my tutors said, have you heard of Savile Row? And I hadn't.
Had you not?
No. And it's go take a look. And Savile Row, if you don't know, is this historical street sandwiched in the heart of the West End between Regent Street, the main shopping street that runs from Oxford Street to Piccadilly Circus, and Bond Street, the main shopping street for luxury brands.
I didn't actually know that. I thought Savile Row was a little bit out.
Yeah. You can imagine that it's in some kind of historical neighbourhood, which it is, but it's in the heart. And that's the beauty of London. Like, you can walk down a street and you can find yourself in something some neighbourhood or with some historical shop, or
Yeah.
you know, it's quite enchanting. And if you look, and I looked in these tailors' windows, which looked quite intimidating, and I walked up and down Savile Row, and I went in a couple of them and said I was kind of interested, and a couple of people. I was very fortunate, really, because one of the tailors said, well, we can take you and do some work experience if you like. And I bit the hand off. Yeah, I'm coming then. And I kind of, in my final year, spent more time with that tailors than I did at college. And I just knew that's where I wanted to work. And that's the thing that I wanted to become a master in. And I did a final collection in tailored suits, brightly coloured, in Harris Tweed, and made them all. And it was very competitive at college. There was only 30 places in the graduate show, and there were 60 of us in the class. I got into the graduate show, and then all of the colleges show during Graduate Fashion Week, all of the universities from all up and down the country. And colleges, anyone studying a fashion degree has that opportunity. And then they have a gala, so they pick the best. And I got through to the gala, which was the last night of Graduate Fashion Week, and I got an award from the British Wool Marketing Board for innovative use of wool. I got in the Stornoway Gazette, my first piece of press.
Wow.
Which is like the Outer Hebrides newspaper about use of Harris Tweed, because the wool was, I don't know if you know, but Harris Tweed is woven in the Outer Hebrides and on the island of Harris and Lewis, and it's protected, and it's such a beautiful cloth. I love working with it, so that was kind of great because it's kind of full circle. I've always loved Harris Tweed. And then I got a job.
It's a linear.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. But I want to touch on that. When you say you went in to have a look.
Yeah.
And did you take the apprenticeship from that person that said to you?
No, they said go to one of the larger houses and learn more, or have the opportunity of learning more.
Okay.
There's different components to the job, different aspects to it. So you tend to specialise in one area, either cutting or tailoring. Cutting is like the architect of the suit, the pattern, this drafting, the measurements, seeing the client. The tailoring is the making, the actual assembling.
Right.
And the craft of tailoring and the craft of cutting. And within the tailoring, you can become a coat maker, a trouser maker, or a waistcoat maker. It's very rare you get someone who does everything. So
you have to choose which kind of route you can go.
And some people are naturally more skilled at tailoring and more adept to that, and some people are more adept at cutting. I knew I wanted to be a cutter after I'd started work. So I got a job when I graduated at Gives and Hawkes at number 1 Savile Row. And initially I was a trimmer, which means the person who puts all the components into the suit after the cutters cut the cloth out.
Right.
Putting the buttons, the linings, the canvases, all those components, and then making it into a bundle and distributing it to the tailors in the workroom. And then I just wanted to learn as much as I could and learn fast. But then I realised it's not a fast thing to learn. It's hard and it's, persistent. You've got to be committed and love it. And that's what I did. I just loved it and just threw myself into it and was there more time than I was anywhere else.
Right.
That part of my life. Yeah.
And when you start an apprenticeship, is there like a time scale of when you can kind of make the next level as such, or is it?
Onus is on you. They say roughly it takes 4 to 5 years to complete an apprenticeship in, say, these different disciplines, cutting or tailoring, coat making or trouser making. But, if you just view it as like a 9 till 5:30 job and I'm going to learn a bit today and go home, you're not going to excel the same as somebody who puts a bit of self-learning into it as well. And I think you don't really say that, but at the time, that was very much what was expected.
Okay.
You know, the people who were there morning, noon and night learnt more and kind of had the ability to practice more, and that's what I did. Like, the company didn't expect it of you, but
It's just like it's undertoned.
It's sort of like the more you put in, the more you get out.
Yeah, it's like most things in life, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's it. Like, you know, there's an expectation that an apprenticeship is just about your learning, but you're actually contributing to the business as well. So yes, it's important that you learn, but also it's a working business. And I think I kind of got to know that very clearly at the beginning, that if I didn't do these aspects, then that suit didn't get made and that person's relying on me doing this. So, you know, you learn as you're doing the job, but then you have the ability to practice in your own time and come in on a weekend. So I started making things for myself and, you know, trying things out and practicing at weekends.
And
yeah.
How much, like, were you the only woman at that time that was doing an apprentice or working at the company?
There was a couple of ladies who were in the military department who'd been there for a long time, who did all the lacing and finishing. And women were always present, I'd say, historically in Savile Row, behind the scenes, more in those supportive roles, a very key role, but they could manage that work and have family quite easily. So like the handwork was normally seen as a woman's work, like the finishing. So when a coat is made, we call it a coat rather than a jacket, coat is made, it would then go to the finisher to do the buttonholes and would put all the final edge stitching and all the hand finishing in. And that role traditionally was done by a woman. And I even had a tailor who said, right, my finisher, she is a man, you know, because it was unusual that there was a male finisher.
Ah, right, okay.
She is a man. I'm like, but do you mean that? What do you mean by that? Like, you know, so it was kind of, it's kind of very unknown that you would have a male finisher.
Was it daunting being in the position that you were in, though? I imagine you're quite young, or did you just kind of take it in your stride?
It was completely and utterly overwhelming.
Oh, it was? Okay.
I thought that, you know, you come into the workplace and everything's kind of fair and square, and it wasn't what I expected it was going to be. You know, it took a lot for me to understand how the business works. You know, you come out as a graduate and you think you know everything. You know, come out of, you know, I've done this fashion show at college, I got this award. And like you've gone into the workplace and someone's literally pulled the rug from under you and you're like, I don't know anything. And I started panicking about how little I knew about bespoke, because it's such a specialism. There's a different way of making patterns and making clothes if you're just a home sewer, or if you're producing a pattern for a factory, for a small manufacturing. Pattern cutting, that's kind of what they teach you at college, or at least they did then. Now there are more bespoke focused courses, and you can do a degree in bespoke tailoring when they teach you the hand sewing skills, whereas at the time when I joined in the mid-90s, it was more about mass manufacture.
Right, yeah. Okay.
And then I went in and I kind of understood a little bit about cloth, a little bit about what I'd learnt at college, but I knew from my work experience the elements of it, but I didn't kind of take it on the same way as when you're actually employed to do a job. And I just felt like I was the junior. You knew you were the junior. You were sent out in the rain to do the errands. They took the piss out of you. But also it was really like a down-to-earth moment.
Right, okay. But it's quite prestigious as well, like, you know, where you were at and the company that you were working with. So is that an added pressure? Like, you've got clients that are coming in, that, you know, I mean, everyone I think is important when you've got a business client, whether they're, you know, a businessman or whatever, but there is this, this element of this is Savile Row. Did that overwhelm you at any point?
Well, when they asked me to start making black armbands in preparation for the Queen Mother's death, I was like, what, we're preparing? Doesn't look like she's dying anytime soon. And, you know, you were aware of the connection to the prestigious clients, the royal family. I remember Diana dying, and they were involved in some of the garments for the funerals. And I had you were involved behind the scenes, but in a kind of unspoken way.
Right.
It's sort of things like that, like I say, were really surreal. So you kind of knew it, but as a junior person, you were aware of the people they were making garments for. Like, I remember they were making some, like the Three Tenors had this concert at the Millennium, and they did some of we did some of the outfits for Pavarotti, and I remember you see the garment coming through, and you're like, that's for Pavarotti. Never met Pavarotti, but you were aware of like the prestigious clients, and obviously anybody who goes to invest in a Savile Row handmade garment, there's a price to it, that, you know, there's a value to it. It's not for everybody, so you are aware of the value of the work that you're working on. So if you mess it up, you are also aware of that, you know, so there's a high pressure in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, you want to learn, you want to progress your career, you know, there's all this going on. And I wasn't like let near a client for a good couple of years. So it was like a firm, I had to do 3 months on the shop floor before they let me work in the bespoke room,
right,
full time. And the reason is they wanted me to understand the company.
Okay.
And they wanted me to understand the clients. And I was a total wallflower. If anyone looked at me, I blushed. I had no confidence. But I suppose this kind of was confidence building. And also they wanted to make sure that I was the right fit before they let me near the tailors.
Right. I'm guessing there's a company culture, there's a way of dealing with people that fits right. And is that the same for most companies on Savile Row? Are they all different? Are there different vibes for different shops?
More so now, but I'd say it was very formal back then. And some tailors, you had to have a letter of introduction before you could enter the door as a customer. Wow. Some tailors, you know, just had a very, very formal way of speaking to their clients. And you imagine historically it was even more so. But even, you know, the way people communicated with the more senior members of staff, they wouldn't call them by their first names. They call them by Mr. Smith or Mr. You know, I know a couple of firms where the more senior cutters are still referred to as Mr.
Right.
rather than John or something like that. So I don't know many industries where that happens. It is a hierarchy, definitely, in some ways. But now there's more of a contemporary approach in a lot of businesses.
Okay.
And there's a lot more, I'd say, informality in some of the businesses. But yeah, it was very much formal. You're kind of aware of the prestigious clients, royal family, value of the work that you were doing, and just how utterly enchanting it was. Like, I was totally mesmerized by it, the history of it. Mm-hmm. There's this deep history that's kind of around you. Mm-hmm. You're part of this evolution of it.
Yes.
You were in a building that was not only beautiful, but had all this history, and you were aware of it. So it kind of was, it felt, you couldn't help but be.
I
don't know, like influenced by that, but also felt like how small you were in terms of that. So kind of when you come out of college, you're all cocky and
Yeah.
it's a real sort of grounding moment. And I think a lot of the businesses it's not about like one person, it's the team.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody has a valuable job to do. And that's kind of not so well known, I suppose, externally. But the businesses have operated like that for many years, and you just can't do everything on your own, It's
you need a
it's
support team.
Yeah.
And do a lot of these shops have women come in for suits? Or traditionally, has that always been the clients would be males too? And has that changed since you've been in the industry?
It's changed massively since I've been in the industry. There's more women coming in as clients and looking to have something made. I think purely because the quality out there is not great for off the pegs, ready to wear garments. And women are getting more and more time poor, wanting to look more sleek and more them in their careers. So where do they go? And that kind of leads you to potentially finding a tailor. And if you have a tailor that caters for women, then I think it's a wonderful opportunity. Mm-hmm. But most of the clients that came to Geaves and Hawkes when I was working there, who were women, were recommendations from the male clients. So,
okay,
like you'd have maybe a sister or a wife, or I'd like to buy my wife a jacket, or you might have somebody who's a partner in their law firm who they'd recommend. So that was kind of, we weren't doing very much. It was probably about 5% of the business was women, whereas my business now is about 40%.
Oh, wow.
And growing, which is fabulous. But I, did a KPI. They set me a KPI to do a business plan for women's bespoke tailoring. And they said to me, I'm sorry, Katheryn, we're a masculine brand. We'd never consider this. So I went, okay, so that's fine. I understand you are what you are. I've worked here in this organisation for all these years, but that's an opportunity that I'm not going to miss out on.
Uh-huh.
So
was that one of the key things for you to start your own?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, so that was a key driver in. Okay.
I mean, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
And I know how many women in my network who are frustrated and can't get things to fit them. And I just thought, we've got the skill to do it. Why not? Mm-hmm. Don't think about your damage of your brand. It's not going to damage your brand, it'll enhance it. Yeah.
And it's, I suppose,
businesses evolve.
Yeah.
And also, I just think, well, you're very much going to miss out on a great new market sector. That I just think that, I say I make for all genders. I want everybody who comes to have something made by me to feel absolutely themselves, and it doesn't matter who they are.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We really drill down into what they want, the individual, the bespoke element of it. But I suppose being a woman in this sort of male-dominated industry for all those years, and having grown up trying to be taken seriously and becoming a really excellent tailor, then I thought, how do I want to spend the next 20 years of my career in this industry? Do I want to be here not doing something that I could potentially love doing? Mm-hmm. Or is this an opportunity where I can expand my skills and offer something new, as well as catering for my male clients?
Did you feel that you constantly had to prove yourself? I mean, it sounds like anyone would have to prove themselves anyway, but did you feel like an added pressure as to, I've got to, I've really got to do this because you were showing up as a woman in a male-dominated industry?
The odds are stacked against you. Mm-hmm. Because you're not what they expect.
And that's flip side, I guess, from not only the people you're working with, because eventually the way I found it in construction is people you were working with would get used to it. For me, the issues always came from the external, so the subcontractors on site. And I don't know, how were you seen by the clients?
Yeah, so I always put myself in their shoes. I know that my own father probably wouldn't have let me measure him up for a suit. Right. And
surely now.
Very traditional, just a different generation.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, so can't blame what they don't know. Yeah.
Also, I kind of thought, I'm not doing this to, like, you know, transform the world.
You just want to do it up.
It's only, like, not to diminish any achievements, but I felt like I had a job to do to win their confidence. And I always think it's like if you go and get your hair cut and they give you the junior at the hairdresser's and you're like, you've got the pair of shears coming towards you and you're like, how long have you been working here? You know, I used to get that a lot. Okay. How long have you been working here? Oh, what brought you into tailoring? Like, these questions, and I know the questions because I'd be asking them myself. You know, and I kind of looked at it like that, like in a light way, because I thought I had more to prove to win them around. Not only was I a woman, I was a young woman and representing them. And I always said to them, look, you know, if I cost this business money, if I can't do this and I need loads of help, you'll be the first to know.
Yeah.
And if you see that I'm failing, I'm sure you'll make sure that I know. So if we do this, and I am in charge of measuring these clients and cutting their patterns and overseeing the whole thing, if there's any concerns from me, I will let you know, and you have concerns. So it was more like that. And also I kind of thought about my financial contribution to the business and how that could be compelling as a workaround for them to sort of distract them from who I was.
Okay.
And I think that sometimes you just have to go into, not battle, but you have to think about just the basics. Like, what do they want at the end of the day? They want success.
Yeah. It's quite a personal experience, isn't it, to have a suit made?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can only relate this to, and I don't know if I should share this story or not. I guess so. I had the only bespoke suit I've ever had made was in Vietnam, and everyone said, go to this place and they'll make you a suit, and it's intense. People at the time, I'm sure it's not what you get when you come to you, but there's like 3 or 4 people around and they're in your space. But I imagine the experience of having a suit on Savile Row is very unique and very personal, and you've got to have a relationship, because that's another element of a job, isn't it, as well? Is there's the ability to do your job and then the ability to work and correspond with the general public.
Completely.
Is that something that was like an easy thing? Because I can't imagine it can be in your 20s. Like, you're still figuring out who you are.
Yeah, it was really a difficult thing for me to deal with, because I wasn't very confident. Like I said, I was very aware I was from Yorkshire. I hadn't been to private school. I didn't come from a top university. I had I was educated to a degree level, and it was intimidating, hugely intimidating. But we had in the business Robert Geeve, who was the 5th generation of the Geeve family, Geeves and Hawkes, and he said to me, and helped me a lot, and he said to me, ask questions, make it about them. If they find out about their children, find out this, like, and I just thought, God, they're not really interested in me at all, are they? It's more about
them.
And there was a moment when I was observing. You observe other cutters, right? So you're an assistant, and you're in the fitting rooms where you're observing. So you're able to see how other cutters execute the fitting and what they talk about. And I worked with this very charismatic man who would make jokes, and another man who was a bit of a very confident guy, and he used to have his hands in his pockets and talk in such a relaxed manner. He was quite soothing, and I just thought, God, that's not my style. That's not my style. I can't make jokes. But I think I thought about it a lot, and when I was in a situation where I was dealing with clients and I was in the sort of driving seat, I definitely wanted to win them round in a way of, I am interested in them and was wanted to listen. And I'm still like that now. Like, tell me what you want. Like, I will learn as much about them as possible in order to, and I think it helps you to do a better job for them because you understand what they want more. Yeah. And then that's what they want, right? So if someone comes, I talk about the hairdressers a lot. If someone comes at you with a pair of shears and they just start cutting your hair and they don't ask you any questions about your lifestyle or, kind of give you this kind of prescriptive cut that, doesn't work for you, that's miscommunication. So for me, the being able to do the job, cutting, fitting, I was learning that, and you're still learning, you keep learning. And I know that there's lots of things that I'm at a point in my career where I feel I'm a really good cutter. I'm a really good tailor. I wouldn't have said that so many years ago when I was training because I feel like I had so much more to learn. I feel like now that part of the job is secondly, have that. And also, you learn new things all the time and adapt the way you do things. And that's fascinating too. But the communication side of it and the confidence side of it, I know now I can go into a room with anyone at all, and be able to do that job and control that situation because of my communication skills, which is something that you just have to acquire over time. Have to learn over time. And you're right, that helps you enormously to navigate. And that's something that they don't necessarily teach you as much as the physical thing.
I think in most jobs, it's the same in construction, learning to speak to different people at different levels was the hardest thing over the engineering in itself. I think it's a skill and a talent that is overlooked, but is I would say probably more important sometimes than skill set. I've always been an advocate for saying to people, work on like life skills as such, because it's huge and can take you so far. But with a suit, my dad's wore suits his whole life, and there is something about a suit. This particular suit that I had was the first suit where I felt like it fit like a glove. I remember because I was in sales, and it changes how you feel, a suit. And I had these like red patent shoes, and it was a navy suit, and it had, actually that suit wasn't from Vietnam, that suit was from the company Massimo Dutti. I don't know if they're still around. But I remember I was in my teens because I had to wear a suit for A levels. I remember going in there and being like, oh, this is different. Because I was obsessed with the lining. It was the only company that I'd seen on High Street that had got like really cool lining. The stitching was beautiful around it. And it was insanely expensive. And I saved up ages for this suit, but I kept it for so long. And I think anyone that's had a suit that they love will appreciate the story of a suit and how that makes you feel. But you are taking are you taking someone's personality, lifestyle, and then advising them on where to go? Like, how does the process work?
So most people come to you with something in mind.
Right.
They'll want to have a new suit, or they might want a blazer, or they might want a coat. So that's really helpful. Some people come to you and they don't know what they want, but they just are quite fancy having something made. So that's really hard. Okay. The process starts with getting to know them, their lifestyle, how they want to wear their clothes, like what do they wear currently? Have they had garments made by other tailors? Is it the first experience of bespoke? And I really try and make it as much of the simplest process as possible, and not to overwhelm with lots of decisions right at the beginning. Because years ago, when you went to see a tailor, the tailor told you what you were having.
So that shifted.
Yeah. And there's so much out there now, particularly in menswear as well, with the men's fashion has evolved hugely in the last 20 years. Magazines, the internet. I mean, like, you can just look. You can do loads and loads of research before you go and see a tailor. And quite often people do that. And they come and go, I've seen this cloth online and this journalist is saying that that's the best to use and I'd like this. And you kind of, oh my God, they're trying to do my job.
Ah, right.
Figure it all out before we've actually want to come armed with knowledge.
Ah, okay.
And this sort of shifted a little bit in that way. So that's a hard one to sort of break down. But I think you've got to trust the tailor. They know the cloth that works best. So it kind of starts with that really open conversation about breaking down what it is they want, why do they want it, and understand would there be something better for them in my view. And the more I can get to know and get out of them, the better I can make recommendations, suggestions on style and just cut and advice. And the last thing I do is put a tape measure around someone, because as soon as you put a tape measure around someone, they're like, like you said, that was really so. Yeah, so I get to, much like we're having a conversation, I get to know someone first, and then talk about the style and loosely sketch out the style mentally. But if they want to see it physically, do that, and talk them through the process.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no surprises, so they understand the journey of the creation of the piece. And then once we've kind of got an idea of all the style, the last thing I do is take measures. During that whole process, I've got built up a picture of them in my mind, and it really does help you to design something for someone or make a recommendation or visualize them in something. So kind of doing that as you.
Okay, so you're doing that as you're kind of visualizing what you see on them.
Yeah, and we don't have one set way of. I don't have a house cut that I put everyone in to. I much rather create something that is more
completely new for
everyone. And I suppose that's a harder thing to do because everyone's so different.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to get bored with what I do. I just want to be challenged. I want to be able to make truly uniquely bespoke clothing for people. And I am setting myself like a high benchmark to do that. Like, it's not a business that you can just, it's not a business model where you can just roll things out, churn it out. It's bespoke, where it's much more personal. So I'm very in the heart of that process, and it's something that I really enjoy, and getting to know different types of people and being adaptable and listening and understanding people from different walks of life, different cultures, different professions, what their needs and requirements are. Understanding that, it's really interesting.
I'm guessing, is it quite fascinating? I imagine over your career you've overheard or you've listened to quite many personal stories. Is it a little bit like a hairdresser? When you have, my auntie's a hairdresser, and she's like, you become a therapist, and you hear, because you've got this relationship with someone, they're having something done with their hair, and it just, things come out. Like, I bet there's probably a book of weird and wonderful things that you've had. How much of that side of the job is enjoyable?
Yeah, it's really interesting because people do tell you all sorts of things.
They do, right? Okay.
Their opinion on everything. I get a good sort of feeling, a vibe for people. As they get to know you throughout the process, they'll tell you more things, and you can sort of use that to your benefit as well,
right?
In terms of like learning more about their lifestyle, but and making better recommendations. But yeah, people do open up, and
you hear all sorts.
Yeah, and it's very much like, it's such a personal thing. Like, it's I am a woman and I'm making clothes for men and women, but it's intimate, as in it's drilling down into the individual person, right? So there's a closeness in that they're putting their trust in me, but there's not a closeness like going to see a doctor and having them take the clothes off. Like, like that is a kind of something that everyone has to go through, right? Medicals and things like that. But it's it's a different type of intimacy, and I've always said it's not like I see, if especially when I was younger, it's not like a man has to drop his trousers, measure him, and measure him with a pair of trousers on, and it's my observation and tape measure. There's no it's still quite distant in that way, but if that person then trusts you more and talks to you about their things that are going through in their life, maybe they've had some people come in a foul mood sometimes on a really shitty day, and I'm like trying to cheer them up, or they're they're having the best time ever, and things are going great, they're on holiday and relaxed, and then you see them at a different point of the calendar year where they haven't got much time. You have to be really super adaptable to those clients. But I suppose what I'm trying to say is the intimacy is so much more personal. But years ago, there was so much more formality between people.
I was going to say,
I think the job was almost easier to do because
there was a set way of doing things.
You would just make that guy a suit,
right,
and they didn't question it.
Okay.
So I've kind of, I suppose, lent into the way of the world and the way we are now with my tailoring and the way I am.
Yeah.
I am genuinely interested.
Yeah.
And I always think, no matter what's going on in my life, I'm providing a service. I've got a business. I've got responsibility to those clients and to my team. And, that's what gets me out of bed every day.
Yeah.
It's not about me, it's about them.
And once you've made a suit for someone, so when you opened up your own business, massive jump, is it like, I mean, you referred to it as hairdressing, but people have that relationship with you, then I'm guessing people come back, and that's nice because then you are kind of known as their tailor.
Yeah.
And then you've got these long relationships, and like you say, probably partners come in. And the one thing I'm quite interested to is the women's wear. I'm overtly aware now that we all have different body shape, type, and way more so, I think, than men. Like, there's obviously different sizes of men, but the more I speak to women and I hear frustrations about fashion, that must be really nice for you now that being bespoke is that everything is going to fit perfectly for every client that comes through your doors. And is that a huge passion of yours?
Yeah, it's truly a passion. The challenge we have as tailors, people with gaining and losing weight.
Cool.
If you could just measure someone and complete a suit for them next week, which is what they do, I think, in Vietnam or the next day.
Next day.
There's a process, and because of the amount of craftsmanship that goes into it,
Uh-huh.
there's a journey of creation. So you might see someone over a period of 3 to 4 months, and a lot can happen in that, specifically if it's maybe for their wedding or something like that. So it's, we do allow cloth inside, we do cut with inlays, garments are adaptable, but you don't want to be doing too much because then it's like more work. So you kind of want to nail it as you can, not let things linger too long. But it's, someone comes back in a year's time and they've lost lots of weight or something, that there's more work there. But
would they bring the same suit back? Like, is it alterations also part of?
I'm not a big fan of doing alterations, but it's not as enjoyable. Just it's not a part of the job I really enjoy. But it's kind of, I want to make it as it's made, and I want that person to stay as they are, but it doesn't ever happen. So that's a part of my frustration, I suppose. With women, I'd say equally there are varying men's figures, very varied.
Okay.
And there's not just one type of figure. So with women's bodies, I think there's more of a common denominator throughout that. So like hips, men's hips, their stomachs, their shoulder line, it can all have an impact on the way you cut or the suit fits. Most women have square shoulders and hips that support the trousers. So I feel like not that it's easier, it's just there's more variety, I think, in men's bodies.
Oh, that's fascinating. That completely flips what I perceived was that's quite interesting.
And I think with women as well, like I've got a couple of ways of cutting for women that I've developed, which is completely unique. That's something I've learned and taught myself.
Oh, okay.
Because we've not started from any set templates or rules with women's tailoring. So women's tailoring naturally evolved from riding wear or uniforms.
Right.
So, if you look at there were a couple of tailors like Edward Sexton who created like suits for Twiggy, and kind of big sort of theatrical lapels, big shoulders, adapted the menswear for the women's wear. I feel like my women's tailoring, I've started from a place of that's a way I might want to wear a suit, a contemporary way for a modern woman now. Women are not just wearing suits or tailoring for a dramatic effect. I mean, they might wear it for costume, but they're wearing them in their day-to-day lives, much as men have worn historically. So after lockdown, men stopped wearing suits as much, but women started wearing them more.
Ah, right, okay.
So I'm loving that. So I think women dress up more and men are not bothering as much.
Ah.
Depends what you do, but they might dress up more for a special occasion and wear suits less frequently. Certainly not wearing ties as much, men.
Yeah, I would. It's a big gripe of my dad's that a lot of the young employees that he's had, he's now sold his business, but he a bit of a stickler for a suit and tie. He was in sales, and he started to see that creep in with, shirts open, wearing tailored trousers but no jacket, and it is quite interesting because I think it's historically something you see, you think, it's very British. And to lose that would be such a shame. But it's also interesting that women, more so than men after lockdown, are going that route. And there are certain industries where you've seen a massive difference. So, for example, I associate, anyone working in the finance industry, lawyers, they're all going to be still wearing suits. Is that the case?
Lawyers are, especially in court, and you have to. But also, I think that I think there's like senior people definitely, but a lot of my clients who are in the financial services saying it's really changed massively. And if you wear into the suit into the office, like if you got an interview, it's like maybe if they had a client visiting them, they would dress up, or if they were going for a client dinner or they had something special going on. But yeah, it's much more casual in a lot of the offices now. And I'm still taking orders for suits, and I'm still got like a heavy repeat client following. I've clients from all around the world, particularly in the US as well, and they really enjoy wearing the suits. But there is a shift, but I think it's going to shift back. I can just feel it, because I feel like this. A lot of journalists have said to me, "Is the suit dead?" And they really want a compelling argument for why people are not wearing suits anymore. And I met somebody who knows someone who's in the top FTSE 100. Like, you've got a chance to change. don't wear suits, show the world you can do this job without the suits. But I'm just like, for me, it's a little bit disrespectful if you feel like you can just turn up to something in a sloppy shirt and trouser and, you know, command all this respect. I think suits work for a reason. I think they enhance the male physique when they're cut right. I think that they have an impact on not only the wearer but also the people who are viewing them, and I think they respond to you differently.
Yeah, it's a natural. Whether you want to or not, we do judge based on appearance.
Yeah.
And from when you were saying about the person that's wearing the suit, I always felt super important wearing a suit going into a sales call. And it was always a trouser suit because it was a male again, another drawn to male dominated industries. It was a male dominated industry, and you have a sense of power with a suit, and that's lost, isn't it, if you're just rocking up in...
Yeah, and if you're representing a company, I think that's kind of a lot of in my experience, a lot of top companies work with image consultants on their senior leadership.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. It's really important. So I do think that's not going to fall away.
Yeah. If you're cutting a big business deal and you can see it now. Someone rocks up in, I think, I'm bringing my dad into this because it's just easy, but he was like, what are these things, these like loafer things with no socks? And like, that's just like a fashion thing where it's like, the suit is too short.
Yeah. Well, long jackets are coming back in for men. I can tell you that. And a lot of the menswear guys are going, the journalists and the writers are like, great, the long jacket's back. I'm like, finally. So there you go.
The long jacket's back. Is there anyone that you haven't made a suit for but would be like a dream client?
I'd love to get the James Bond gig,
Oh, for the film?
Yeah.
Okay.
I say it more and more and more to as many people as possible.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Okay.
But, it'd probably like finish off my business if it do that. But, there's something compelling about being the tailor to James Bond. But, Roger Moore, Sean Connery, those kind of tailoring, those tailors were iconic that made those suits.
Who do you think is going to be the next Bond? I'm rooting for someone, maybe a little bit controversial, but...
I don't know. I mean, by all accounts, isn't it going to be a woman?
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be brave enough to do that. I really don't. I just feel like they wouldn't. I would hope that would be, and then if you got like, it would be amazing. I just think it's set up that it might be. I would hope Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
But equally, I've not thought. And that's wrong. I didn't even consider female. Like, I don't know who I would. Who would I put? If it was a woman, who would you choose? Got to be British.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be.
I'd do it.
There we go. No,
I mean, the rumours like Matthew Good after.
Yeah,
we were saying he's there's a lot in the frame, men.
Who's the actor that was in? Have you seen The Gentleman? So there's
seen the first one.
Yeah, I can't. Well, he could be quite, but he could a little bit young,
polished.
Yeah,
yes, edgy Bond.
Yeah,
that as a woman, there are plenty of great contenders that they should consider. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I thought that's the way they left it. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it? Yeah. And you have to get that gig. We have to get it anyway. Yeah. But...
And also, there's something about like dressing people in the public eye. Like, I do admire our royal family because they do choose to have things made by British designers and British tailors. They're not merely just dressing in clothes that they've been given and sponsored. I think a lot of, say, movie stars or people in the public eye who are able to help sell a brand are just given stuff to wear. And I don't think it's sort of not really their true style. They might be wearing a look for an event, and that's fashion, whereas I do feel like people in the public eye could be afford to be a bit braver and dress in their own style, not be dressed.
Yeah.
So I'm for that. Like anyone, like when I think about some people who instantly get reported on what they're wearing, you know, the power of that to a brand is huge. But the bravery of that person to just choose what they really want rather than being influenced or paid for by a brand, by become an influencer or something.
Which kind of changed a lot, hasn't it? Yeah, the power of that.
There's a lot of shift in how clothes are marketed and how clothes are seen, and how we influence that younger generation spend money on clothing. And then with tailoring, there's definitely an investment, and less is more. So people having lots of things have less things. So it's always been a sustainable option, maybe an expensive option, but actually if you look at the price per wear over the course of a suit's lifetime, it's not that bad, and it's something that's made for you. And not everyone is in a position to do it, but it's not seen as a horribly ostentatious thing anymore. You look at something like the Met Gala and like all those designers chucking clothes at celebrities and thinking that they're just the near expense of having those looks made for like one moment, and
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of disproportionate. So
yeah,
I started off studying fashion, and what my course did was they sort of exposed the fashion industry, so you knew how it worked. So, you know, things that are in fashion now will not be in fashion tomorrow because they just want to buy you. They get you to buy different things all the time.
Just consumerism,
in fashion. But that was back then, and now people have become, you know, which is sort of news to, you know, my ears, and I approve it completely, is thinking about themselves and their style more.
Yeah, we're so heavily influenced, and the throwaway fashion is what the big brands want. But at the end of the day, fashion is, I guess, it's your personality more than anything.
Yeah. It's a huge industry, the fashion industry, but, you know, luxury brands are struggling because it's not about lots of products anymore. It's more about quality and craft. So they're really leaning into that craftsmanship in the products that they produce. And people are interested in where things are made, how they're made.
Very much so, yeah.
So the storytelling behind what makes a beautiful handbag, or what makes a beautiful piece of knitwear, or the cloth that a suit's been made from, that their brands are having to adapt and talk about that now, rather than just put a glossy image in a magazine and hope things will sell.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's fascinating. You've achieved so much. What's next for you?
Oh God, I feel like old.
Not at all.
Well, old, but still excited by things. So, like, I think a few years ago, I just thought I'm really going to go for this and maximise the opportunity that I have here to make my business really vibrant and bring in more people. We opened a second atelier in Edinburgh in 2023. And my former apprentice, Alistair, who I trained in London, runs the Edinburgh atelier, and he's based there. So we'd worked together for a good number of years. I think we've worked together for like 13 or 14 years now. So that's been fantastic. And I absolutely love the textiles in Scotland and the styles, and, you know, to bring the craftsmanship to Edinburgh has been a great thing. So I want to see that be a huge success. We're early days, but it's going well. such a vibrant city, and we're doing things there that I don't think anyone else is.
Cool.
And then I have a new atelier in London that we moved to last year in St James's, which is in sort of a true menswear district of craft. So now I've got 2 nice homes for us to greet our clients in and for us to grow the team in. And so seeing
that move forward,
evolve that. There's lots of things that I want to do, but you kind of have to pick the things that you can do in that moment or see in the next few months. And then I'm driven by the pressure of the business as well. So I'm always thinking commercially, like, how am I going to find the money to pay the rent next quarter and things like that. So there's lots of development and there's lots of day-to-day stuff. So I'm still very hands-on with every commission.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. But I don't think there's an ability to really step away from that too much and suddenly grow it to a level that is unimaginable. Mm-hmm. If it's still going to be an unimaginable, manageable small business. So we'll see.
And you're helping other women by creating a community. So if they've got questions of, for example, if they were a younger version of you, you're now seeing the value of helping other women with the support system. So that's pretty cool. Is that something that you're probably going to give more time to as well?
Yeah, we started a network, Women in Tailoring. A few of us who've been around a few years more than others, and different aspects. So Women in Tailoring goes from just any women working in the tailoring industry, and creating a network and a series of events over the year where we can come together and celebrate our uniqueness, but also offer some support and build friendships up in a sort of nurturing way. I felt like I didn't have that at all. So to be around for people if they needed help, especially young women who might be facing challenges in their career or want to understand how, what their career could look like, is great to be in this position to really help and support. And I feel like it's much needed in all industries. Lots of industries have networks for women.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that it's a not harmful thing to bring everyone together and celebrate our uniqueness, but also offer that connection and access. So for me, it's about access and connection. So when I was an apprentice, and especially when I was a young cutter and not as senior, I used to get a lot of advice from clients. Clients would be interested in my career, or they might be working in the city or working in the legal profession. They were like, "Oh, we've got a network. Why don't you come along to our thing?" So I actually saw a lot of the good that these networks could do in some of my friends and some of the clients' industries. And so those became female contacts for me. And just now, I think having a network of people that you can go to for guidance or help or just to pick their brains is giving people that access. I think is the most important thing.
I think
it can be a lonely place.
It can, and a community is so important. I think it helps in sometimes it's not necessarily that you've got like one thing that you need help with. It's just having to talk to someone in the same industry. But like feeling less alone is a huge part of it. And women in the construction industry, there was a little bit of women that had kind of reached a certain level. There was sometimes, not always, but if you did work with another woman who had really battled through, there was this kind of not dropping the ladder and kind of being a bit protective. Have you felt that, or have you felt that women are just like, oh, no, we just need this space?
I probably could be guilty of that, because I just feel like when you work so hard to get somewhere and then you see others maybe not take it so seriously, you can clearly form a view, but it's a different time, and I have to remind myself that these young women that are coming in are a couple of generations below me. Couldn't even imagine what it could have been like.
Yeah.
And I think about those women that were in the workshop at Keys and Hawkesbury. What would it have been like for them? What have they seen? So I do think it's hard to differentiate your personal experience with the opportunities that other people have, because there's a thing like I really had to fight, but then I have to just let go of that and just go, come on, take a chill pill and think, do you know how hard it was? And I just think, I've been reminded of it by this network, because it's not, again, I'm a part of something much bigger. And I think, when you've really had, sleepless nights and cried yourself to sleep thinking, why am I not taken seriously? And why are they so mean to me? Or why, if only I was a man. I used to think that.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what? And then embracing my femininity and being myself is the best thing I've ever done, actually. And you shouldn't be frightened of being yourself, but also never lose track of like the opportunities that are there for you. And I think it's a hard one as a more senior woman to get your head around. Definitely, I think I've seen it with lots of fierce women who have been clients over the years. Like absolutely take no prisoners, and fierce and scary.
I'd probably say sometimes more
frightened,
more than the men. Like sometimes, yeah.
But like that's somebody who's harder to handle, because can you imagine what they must have been through to get that successful? So I respect that too, really, because it is a difficult one.
And it is with, when you say generational, like if I work with the younger generation now, I'm like, oh my God, is it my age? But the whole, I was literally in trenches, 7 o'clock in the morning till 6 at night, 5 days a week, at the coalface as such. And then now, I have to be careful because I've still got a toe in the industry, but now the younger generation that I see coming through are very much like, okay, it's 4 o'clock, I don't get paid after 4, so
going home.
Yeah. Or what, can I have some time off for my mental health this week? And I'm kind of like, but equally I'm like, oh my God, like I go home, cry about had I measured up the concrete right, because thousands of pounds worth of concrete was being delivered at 6 in the morning. If I hadn't, my neck would be on the block. Have I measured the house right, where the bricklayers are doing? Now it's shifted so much more in that there seems to need more support. I do worry a little bit. I do worry about the next generation. I don't think they've got it easy from a perspective of social media and pressures that are there. But I also worry a little bit about resilience and the grind. And if we lose that, what happens? So I can completely relate to that. There's this kind of, this is what it was like. And you can just see them roll their eyes and think, well, times have changed.
And they don't actually want to hear my story, or, my story's out there, it's everywhere, right? So I think whilst I am somebody who's achieved something huge in my industry, I hear it from the guys like, oh God, this new generation, like they've not got the staying power and stuff like this. And, you do sort of have that in common, that you did have to work
really hard.
Absolutely hard, so hard. And it was a bit of school of hard knocks. And also to get taken seriously was tough. So, it's hard as an employer to, assess a potential employee as well, because you're looking at their potential, the contribution to the business, and they have to see it as they're entering into a business, they're part of a team. And it's hard at college, you're taught it's all about you. And I found this too. Like I did a degree and they get you to singularly focus on yourself and your own achievements. And if you're like somebody who's motivated by getting like a first or a 2-1 or something like that, and then you go into industry, you're at the bottom, there's no pat on the back at the end of the day. That comes later with salary and role, title. But with that comes more pressure, more responsibility. Kind of it's not a utopian world. And I think there's with all younger people coming into a traditional industry where it's a lengthy time to learn, it's one of the issues I think that people don't really understand.
And they want, I mean, I'm very much generalizing here, but we're sold this quick win now, and not this career of 10, 20 years that is, and it's hard, isn't it? Because I'm guessing from your perspective, you're investing as well, because you've got to train somebody up. We're not investing someone for them 5 years later to say, I'm going to quit and be a TikToker.
I'm done with that now. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to be an influencer.
Yeah. Like that is...
Most people who, I've read that most people who graduate now, you may be having 3 different careers throughout their lifetime. And I, like different professions, and I couldn't even imagine that. I just thought, when I started work, I wanted the long service carriage clock reward at the end when you get the pension. That's what I wanted.
Is that still a thing?
It was a thing. I don't know if it's a thing anymore, but my dad got like a carriage clock for long service and Mercedes-Benz. And I remember when I started at Gears and Hearts, there was a guy who had been in the offices and he'd worked on payroll and things for many years, and he got a long service, a clock from Mappin and Webb, and they'd engraved it with his name and the dates and everything. I was just like, oh my God, I want the clock.
I still got I think it was my great grandfather, and my grandfather passed away a couple of years ago now, and so it got passed on to me and my brother, and we've both got separate parts, weirdly, because I think over a period of time it got separated. But it was a gold watch for service. I don't know what industry, but it's a Rolex and it's a pocket.
Amazing.
Yeah, and basically my grandparents split between, there was the watch and then the chain that it came on.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened, but at some point they got separated. So I actually got the chain. My brother got the watch. But we've got a really good relationship, and I'm like, let's just put them together.
Is the chain a short chain? Is it?
Yeah.
So they wear that. So on a waistcoat, they would wear it on a waistcoat. So basically you put the watch in the pocket here.
Right.
And the chain loops through the buttonhole on the waistcoat. And we actually put a little chain hole in. So sometimes they have a fob in the middle and they have something on the end.
Oh, right.
So it kind of loops through like this. Or sometimes it's just the one.
Because it would be upside down, wouldn't it? So that they could... Yeah, I mean, it's in a safe, and
I'll make you a waistcoat to wear it.
Well, I feel like if my brother had one too, and then we could just literally be like, right, I want it this time. And I think that would be really nice, because it's such a shame to lose that.
Some of my clients still wear those type of watches.
They do,
yeah.
and
then they are collector's items.
Yeah,
so it's a lovely heirloom, but also, a reward, right? Significant reward.
Yeah, for service, exactly. Yeah,
you should find out the industry, the business.
Yeah,
but that's a nice present, right?
Yeah. My so I think, I don't know, and I really should find out. But we were very local to Land Rover, so British Leyland.
Yeah.
So it could, and my dad started on the track, and I think my grandfather worked there. So this they're quite nostalgic actually on both sides. So from my mum's side, a few of her family and even my mum worked at Cadbury's, which is really cool, because when I go back, I mean, I know now it's owned by an American company, and that's really sad, but it is really nice to have this history. And then British Leyland was part of family, and I think my dad was like, the first car he ever had was off the track too. And I do feel like we're losing this. People the next generation don't necessarily aspire to work for these big, amazing brands that have been British. And a part of that is because we produce things all over the world now, isn't it? But
I think it's different with Savile Row because we're so unique. Like the tailors are so, the craft, the way we make things is so unique. The signature of a Savile Row suit is so.
Can you spot? So you can literally spot a suit that's.
You can tell a handmade, bespoke suit that is especially a British one, definitely.
Right.
And
only always British material.
Some Italian materials. Some I have a supplier, Laura Piana, who supply beautiful cashmeres and coatings and Everything else is British.
Right.
But I have a specific client that might want that. So I offer it to them, but I don't stock any of these cloths. These are cloths that I have their sample books. So if someone comes to look at something, they might say, do you have any Loro Piana? And I go, actually, I do. But most of the cloths that I do push are and prefer to work with for day-to-day suits and jackets and trousers are British cloths, namely from Yorkshire.
Oh, still wicked.
And Scotland.
Okay. And is that a worry that industry will?
I mean, it's still going strong. I mean,
Right.
it's probably not the size. I mean, we're in a converted mill, right? So
Yes.
it's not the size as it once was, but there's still a very active cloth making industry still here. There's a few mills that are large and have a global client base. A lot of the Italian tailors prefer working with British wools. So there's a demand for it the world over. So I think whilst it's got smaller, I'm much of a farm to table tailor. Like I would like to know where the cloth is come from, where that I'm making, and show that to my clients and get them excited about it and support the industry here. So yes, whilst I have this option of having this known brand that produces cashmeres, it's still not a massive percentage of my business.
Right.
It's mostly British. Yeah. Tartans woven in Scotland, tweeds, Harris Tweed. I have my own Harris Tweed that I designed.
Oh, wow.
Own patterns in 3 colourways. So we offer that as bespoke. And also we've made some ready-to-wear jackets in those most recently, and they're available in Edinburgh. So kind of we're always looking at the cloth and what we can do with it.
Fascinating. I could talk for hours with you. Is just before we wrap up, one final question. Is there anything based off your career that you would, there's women now in your network that are younger. If you could dare them to do something, what might that be?
So I think when you're young or when you are doing these journeys, it's a bit weird after our conversation, but I do think it's important to say no to things that you're not comfortable with and things that don't feel right. I think you should trust your instinct. There's so many times through my career where I've been scared to say no to something, and it could be anything, but I think it's important to have that in you as well.
Do you think that comes though with knowing yourself, which takes a bit of time?
Yeah. Probably. Yeah.
It's kind of a bit of a rite of passage. But equally, as someone now in her 40s, I still feel like I say yes to things I should say no to. So yeah, you're right. It is an awareness thing as well, isn't it?
And also, I think there's nothing wrong with following your passion and pursuing that. And I think if you've got an itch, you should scratch it. I think everyone's unique, aren't they? And I just think, dare to explore, dare to say no. Yeah.
And I ask guests if they have a dare for themselves that they would do in the next 6 to 12 months. I feel like yours, if you've got one, that's great. But if not, I feel like it should be, we should all collectively try and
get together.
Get you the James Bond gig.
Oh, don't worry, I'm working on that.
Okay, all right. If there's anyone out there,
yeah, I think that would be a career moment, wouldn't it? Do you know when things that happen? I think when things happen to you that are really great and amazing, and you really feel happy with something, you think, what's next? And then you're sort of surprised at something that happens next, and you just never know. You just never say never. So
yeah,
I'm not writing anything off. And I suppose for me, like the balance of sorting out my own life laundry, getting myself fit, all these like high benchmarks of things that just don't happen because I'm so busy with my work and my business. I definitely need to, in the next 12 months, get some
personal things,
get some personal stuff done. And I think that's just been a super busy 2 years. So yeah, I think if I can get all that stuff sorted out at home, then I can just, life will be utopian, I'm sure.
Oh, just that, but yeah, I think we both know the answer to that one. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story. It's been amazing chatting to you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.